Hope you're having a great morning so far. Hey, great news, Joan.
What is it?
I remember the combination.
You did.
to my locker. It's been an ongoing dilemma and problem this morning because for whatever reason, after a year and a half of opening my locker every single day, I walked up to my locker this morning and I couldn't remember my locker combination. I knew it was 30-something, 20-something, 30-something.
That doesn't help a lot.
No, but for whatever reason, as the morning is worn on, I was able to remember my combination to my locker. I now have my headphones and access to my throat coat as well. So it's been a great morning.
Hey, can we write it down somewhere so we don't go through this again?
Joan, I'm going to give it to you for safekeeping.
Okay.
That's what I need.
That's why when you need it again, you can just text me and I'll text it back to you.
It's exactly right.
So you're giving her authority-ship over your locker combination.
Sure.
She'll never use that nefariously.
Wow, Sam, that sounds like a good idea.
Speaking of nefarious, will there be an attack on Iran in the coming days? Donald Trump has the military in place. The talks may not be going too well. I actually heard J.D. Vance talk about how the discussions with Iran they're not going well. And here's the problem. The problem is that we are expecting Iran to do things that they are simply not willing to do for a number of different reasons. Now, number one, we want Iran to abandon their nuclear aspirations. They want nukes, and they want the ability to shoot nukes with rockets, long-range missiles. And we're simply not going to allow that to happen. And so now we have reports from the Daily Mail and the Wall Street Journal that President Trump has been polling his aides and military generals in the last couple of days. And so if he does this, it could be this weekend. And it's being called a massive, weeks-long military campaign against Iran. And many are saying that this would be seen as an all-out war. Now, we'll have to see exactly what transpires, but we've got at least 2 aircraft carriers, a dozen warships, hundreds of fighter jets equipped with advanced air defense systems, and in the last 24 hours, 150 military cargo flights as well have been flying more weapon systems into the region, ammunition to the Middle East as well. This is Donald Trump talking about those negotiations.
We do have very big, powerful ships heading in that direction, as you know. I can't tell you, Okay. But I hope they negotiate something that's acceptable.
Well, apparently it is not acceptable. That was President Trump last night on Air Force One. There are 2 big objectives, and this is what everyone's reporting. We've all been talking about this. But for Iran to halt all nuclear development and a broader hope for regime change against the Ayatollah.
If you could make a negotiated deal that would be satisfactory with no nuclear weapons, they should do that. But I don't know that they will, but they are talking to us. Seriously talking to us.
Well, I don't know how seriously it is. I think that part of what Iran's trying to do is buy some time. But they do say that Israel would also be part of the attack. Let's also not forget, a couple of days ago, we talked about this, that they closed part of the Strait of Hormuz, again, earlier this week, trying to, was that yesterday? I think it was yesterday or the day before. Really an odd flex for Iran. Right before the talks, they closed it for Iranian war games. And obviously, as we talked about, that was part of their saber rattling, the Strait of Hormuz, where all of that oil flows through on tankers and so forth. And, this is very familiar because they've threatened to take over the Strait of Hormuz many times and close it to everyone. Now, they know that they can't do that. They don't have the military or the ships. Yesterday, I spoke to Stephen Bucci, of course, military and foreign policy expert for the Heritage Foundation. He did tell us yesterday all about what's going on.
In my opinion, it's the mullahs in desperation mode. They're crying out for continued talks, even throwing some crazy ideas out there that they think President Trump might be interested in. But at the same time, they're putting up pictures of the Gerald Ford and the Abraham Lincoln looking like coffins, that they're going to sink these ships to the bottom of the sea. No offense, they have no capability to do. Remember, a lot of this stuff is for their own domestic consumption, because they're also trying to hold back internal dissent. When they see America gathering like this, they realize the time is short, and that's going to embolden the dissidents within Iran. So they're talking smack.
Yep, that's exactly what they're doing. They're talking smack. Iran, of course, we all know, we all covered it, had their massive protests a few weeks ago. Tens of thousands of those protesters were killed. Many were jailed as well. At the heart of these deaths, of course, is the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. They protect the Ayatollahs. They keep everyone in line. They are also the ones, by the way, that trained Hamas to attack Israel. Please don't forget that. They're the ones that will bomb Israel. They've got a force of like 190,000 or so. And the IRGC, they are woven into the fabric of everyday life in Iran. They keep the people in line. They kill the protesters. They hold positions of power. They actually control part of Iran's infrastructure and the economy as well. So now, I mean, not surprisingly, you have somebody like Ted Cruz, of course. He is all in.
It is entirely possible, Sean, that in the next 6 months, we will see the regimes fall in Iran, in Venezuela, and in Cuba. And we could also see governments replace them that want to be friends with the United States of America. Now, let me be clear. I'm not being Pollyannish about this. There are 1,000 things that can go wrong. But if that happens, this would be the most consequential geopolitical shift since the fall of the Berlin Wall, since America won the Cold War without firing a shot. I spoke with President Trump the day before yesterday, and we talked in particular about Iran. And I said, this moment, the regime is teetering. The Ayatollah is in his last days. And I said, do not let this opportunity pass.
Well, he's right about a couple of things. Ted Cruz, I have great respect for the Texas senator. But he's right about things going wrong. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. You folks know I'm not a big regime change guy, never have been. Donald Trump is not going to be putting boots on the ground, at least most people don't believe that he'll be putting boots on the ground. Our allies in the region are a bit wary of us trying to take out the leadership in Iran as well, because, yes, it could lead to broader conflicts. Iran says they'll go after our bases in the region as well. They could go after Israel. They could try and attack our allies as well. Russia and China could get involved. And so even if we see this, and, you know, this is part of the storyline, even if we see this as, you know what, we're going in, we're trying to take out the Revolutionary Guard, we're trying to take out the Ayatollah, but it's a very surgical and strategic attack, well, that's all fine, well, and good, but you're going to have other nations that are our enemies, like Russia and like China, who will see us as essentially declaring war on one of their allies or frenemies or whatever it is that you want to call it, and they could get involved as well. Now, it is worth noting that they didn't do jack when we took out their nuclear capabilities months ago, but this is going to be a little different because this, while it will be surgical, they're saying this is going to be a several weeks long effort. So they could see this as America declaring war on Iran. So there's a lot to this. One of the big questions is, what will they do against Israel? I would say that they're going to have their hands full dealing with us. But, you know, here's the other thing, and this is my biggest issue, is that we don't have a real clear path towards who will take over that country. That would lead to internal battles as well, and this is something that I've been warning about for quite some time. It's going to be nice. I stepped out of the house today, and it was like, I don't even need a jacket. It was really nice.
I had to change out of my hoodie.
Possible severe thunderstorms tonight, also some high winds as well. No real tornadic activity expected. Again, just some high winds, so you might want to batten down the hatches. Ted Cruz talking about his thoughts on Iran. And yes, Ted Cruz is one of these guys all about regime change. And, of course, he's right up there with Lindsey Graham. People are going to call Ted Cruz a war hawk, just like Lindsey Graham is. Oh, they're owned by Israel, all of that stuff. But I understand why Donald Trump is doing what he wants to do. This is Ted Cruz.
We have an opportunity. The Ayatollah routinely chants death to America. This is a regime that is the leading state sponsor of terrorism on the face of the planet. It is responsible for murdering hundreds of American servicemen and women. The Iranian regime has provided over 90% of the funding for Hamas and for Hezbollah. To see the mullahs toppled would be a tremendous advance for the people of Iran. It would be a tremendous advance for the Middle East. But most critically, it would be a massive improvement in the national security of the United States. I believe President Trump is providing the leadership that is necessary, and it's making our country a lot safer.
So, will it make our country safer? A lot of people say yes. Other people say, no, we shouldn't be involved. I get where Ted Cruz is going. The Iranian people really do want this as well. We've already sort of, taken them right there with the president saying, we've got your back. We support you during those protests. And of course, we all know what happened. That help didn't necessarily come. Maybe that help is going to be forthcoming. Some people are saying maybe it'll even happen this weekend. So we'll have to see what happens. But a bottom line is, for a lot of folks within the Trump administration, it does seem like a foregone conclusion that the president is going to use a lot of that military might that we've been moving into the region to attack Iran this weekend. But you know what? Stop me when you've heard this before, right? Because, it's been, what has it been, Joan? Like the last 3 or 4 weekends, we've been expecting that Donald Trump was going to, and why he does this on the weekend, I have no idea.
Yeah, I know. I wondered this too.
Yeah, why is it always on the weekend? I'm a little behind the scenes. I've been on call because the plan is, like, if we end up attacking Iran, then Red Eye Radio is going to go live on the weekend. So I'm going to have to do that.
Oh,
so it's like, dude, can you do this during the week so I don't have to work on the weekend? Because it's all about me. Whatever.
I think President Trump is giving Iran just enough rope to hang themselves.
Yep.
He's just letting it out there. Keep going.
You know
keep
what?
Going.
Okay. Here's what Trump is trying to do. He is trying to give Iran enough time to come to their senses.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to make sure that the world literally sees Iran publicly giving him the middle finger. And so when they go out and they close part of the Strait of Hormuz with war games, with all of their rhetoric, right, when these negotiations are starting, well, there's some that would say that they're not giving President Trump much of a choice. If that's the way that you're going to go into these negotiations, you're only asking for trouble.
Right.
But as Stephen Bucci said, they've got a big problem within Iran because right now the Iranian regime looks weak or weakened. And so they have to sort of show that they are in control and they are in charge and they are respected on the world stage. And I don't believe that Iran is respected on the world stage. I think there's a lot of nations that are sort of, wary of Iran, but I don't think that they're necessarily respected. And I think that President Trump, if we're going to go down the road of regime change, we better have a clear path as to who is going to take over. And I don't believe that this is going to be as easy as Venezuela was. And I'm not saying that removing Venezuela's leader Maduro was easy, but that was like one guy. And all the loyalists within Venezuela, they seem to have fallen in line. Maybe they're waiting for their opportunity. I don't know. But in Iran, you've got the Ayatollah, you've got all of those mullahs, you've got the local mayors, and they're all sort of, really deeply rooted in Iran. And so this is going to be harder than what we saw in Venezuela. So nobody wants to see us occupying Iran. Trust me on that. So this is going to be a very dicey situation. The people of Iran want it. Who knows what the what the Revolutionary Guard wants. Ultimately, it's going to be them that is going to have to deal with anything that we do. And sometimes, a lot of people are saying it could be up to them. Do they decide that they're going to follow the Ayatollahs? And if we decide to take out the Ayatollahs, how far will they go to protect the Ayatollahs and the loyalists? Or will they have their own person that they eventually want to put in charge? Because remember, as I was going through all this, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they're embedded. It's not just a military force. It's almost like a part of the government. They have roots in the government as well within Iran. So this is going to be interesting to see how Donald Trump plays this and how the Iranians will play this if we ultimately go in. Hey, let's do a Daily Dan poll. Do you support President Trump in a strategic surgical attack on Iran? Go to YouTube, watch us on YouTube, comment in the chat section there on YouTube, and throw us a bone and take the poll as well. And like and subscribe if you would too. Joan.
Yes.
Really looking forward to 7:45 this morning.
Yep.
Where I'm going to speak to a reporter from The Hill, Lexi Lonis Cochran. And she's written an article, and I typically don't do these kinds of interviews, but it's actually really interesting. She's written an article on the culture of universities asking for donations from millionaires and billionaires like a Jeffrey Epstein. And so now, because you've had so many of these, university higher-ups that have now been named in the Epstein files, I mean, Larry Summers clearly is one. He's out as the president of Harvard, obviously. But it's changing the culture with how universities approach some of these millionaires and billionaires about money and realizing who exactly it is that you're asking money from, because a lot of these guys, Leon, I think it's Botstein, Bard College, and of course, Larry Summers as well. We just mentioned a Yale professor as well. They were engaging with Jeffrey Epstein after he had been served time for the trafficking of girls. And so they're asking for money from this guy who everybody knows is a pedophile. And so now it looks really bad when in 2013, 2014, 2015, they're asking for money from this guy who everybody knows has done abhorrent things to children. And so now it's really impacting the culture of colleges and how they go about, and leading perhaps maybe to some changes in how they interact with some of these guys with a lot of money. So looking forward to that coming up at about, 7:45 or so. This is breaking news from the Daily Mail, Joan.
Yes, I see
Donald
it.
Trump has been rushed into an Iran crisis meeting as an insider warns a strike could come within hours. Donald Trump has been rushed into an Iran crisis meeting as a top U.S. ally warns the president is set to strike within hours. Trump summoned his top advisors for a briefing at the White House on Wednesday to discuss the ongoing nuclear crisis with Iran, according to a report from Axios. And so,
It goes on to say the advisors presented him with options regarding nuclear talks held with the Iranian diplomats. The closest ever the U.S. has been to launching a major war against Iran. So pretty serious stuff going on right now.
You think it'll happen before lunchtime?
We have an hour and a half before your show is over, so.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't think it'll happen before I'm done. But it could be. You know what? Chad and Murphy show. They might get all the Iran fun if we do end up attacking Iran. This is a wait and see.
Yeah.
Remember, part of this too is what's the right way to put this? Part of this is a game that they're playing with Iran, right? Because if the negotiations are like maybe teetering, they're getting really close, or maybe Iran isn't negotiating in good faith. A story like this leaked to the Daily Mail, then it goes worldwide because the Daily Mail is huge.
Yes.
Well, then that may push Iran to negotiate in better faith. So we'll have to see ultimately what happens. I was just talking about Iran in the last segment, so don't want to go on and on about it. What's that?
You spoke it into fruition.
Is that what I did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Dan Mandis' fault.
No, not quite. Unfortunately, now, though, I don't have time to do what I wanted to do. So you guys want to go back to some of this audio of some of these people? It is, of course, Black History Month. And yesterday, Donald Trump, it was a great event where the president was surrounded by people who, it's Black History Month. And so he's surrounded at this event by a lot of people who the president has empowered. And so I talked about this in, I think, the 5 o'clock hour. I didn't get to all of it. So I want to play one or two other sound bites from people at this event talking about Donald Trump and how the president has helped them. There was a lot of talk about HBCUs and how the president has given a lot of money to the HBCUs. Here's another woman, a woman who started a business. She really hit it out of the park. I want to play you a couple of different audio bites. She started a business, and then she was able to expand her business because of the no tax on tips policy by Donald Trump. Here's that audio.
But I ran that business with just myself and one employee. Then here comes no tax on tips. I was able to hire 7 more employees just by what she did. Not only that, I was able to open a second location on our college campus. But as a small business owner, I understand how critical support is. I understand that you have to have the right people that make the right policies for us as small business owners. That's why I am here today to just tell you that no tax on tips has been an amazing blessing for me. President Trump has been an amazing blessing for me. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, Jesus has been an amazing blessing for me.
I mean, it was, it was church time. There is a lot of praise going on. And these policies, like no tax on tips, right? They help everyone. And so what this ultimately means is that more people are willing to work in and stay in the service industry. That's part of the bonus of the no tax on tips policy is more people are able to take more money home in their paycheck. It means that people have more money to spend on their families. And, whether we're talking about, this lady who started a business and then was able to expand her business, she's Black. But again, I keep going back to the whole Donald Trump's policies are helping everyone, not just Black people and not just white people, although the Democrats will say, oh, he's only helping white people. No, he's helping everyone. Businesses, of course, can also hire more. And that's also clearly, obviously, a great thing.
More Americans are working today than any time in history. And since I took office, African-American employment has increased by 182,000, the highest ever. Jobs. 182,000. Nearly 500,000 Black Americans have rejoined the labor force since we took office. 500,000 wages for workers have increased $1,000, $2,000, even $3,000, and even sometimes, in some cases, $5,000 a year. That's faster than inflation. So wages have gone up at a much faster clip than inflation.
I mean, the president is right. He does have a lot to be thankful for. And I got to tell you that this event yesterday, and I thought it was interesting, too, because, and just put a bow on this, right now, some fast stats. Right now, we have more Black Americans working than ever before at roughly 21 million. That is higher than Joe Biden's number when you're talking about pure numbers. Biden had a lower unemployment rate than Donald Trump. Remember, right after COVID, the labor market became really tight and people could get a job anywhere. That's part of the conversation. But real wages for Black Americans and all Americans have kept pace and surpassed inflation. And right now, they do say that Black unemployment rate right now currently is at 7.2%. Now, that is lower than the average of the last 50 years. Still, some work needs to be done. But the bottom line is, yes, 7.2%, and more Black Americans are working now than ever before in rough numbers, in exact numbers. So the president does have a lot to be proud of as it relates to the Black community. He does have, despite what you'll see in some of the polling out there, I do believe that the president does still have a lot to be proud of related to not only our economy, the Black economy as well. It is 7:45 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 615-737-9986 is the number to text in. 615-737-WWTN. It looks like I've been stood up from my much anticipated. This is why, Joan, I don't like to hyper promote things.
Oh, no.
Because stuff happens. I even said to Joan this morning, I can't wait to do this interview.
I know.
I was all giddy about it.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I'm still going to talk about the story, though.
Good.
But your weather for today, times of clouds and sun with a couple of showers, breezy and warm with a temperature of 76. Tying the record from 2018, possible severe thunderstorms this evening as well. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Okay, so this article in The Hill, and I do believe it is worth mentioning. And by the way, in case you missed the big news today, Prince Andrew has been arrested, as Joan has been reporting. It's not necessarily it is from information gleaned from the Epstein files, but it's not for anything related to, doing untoward things with underage girls. He was arrested his 66th birthday today, and detectives say that what he is accused of is misconduct during his time as a trade envoy for the UK after emails in the Epstein files suggest that he shared confidential information with his, and this is a quote from the Daily Mail, his pedophile friend, including reports on official visits and potential investment opportunities. Emails released by the U.S. Department of Justice appeared to show the former Duke sharing reports of official visits to Hong Kong, Vietnam, and Singapore. One email dated November of 2010 appeared to be forwarded by Andrew 5 minutes after being sent by his then special advisor, Amir Patel. Another, on Christmas Eve of 2010, appeared to show Epstein a confidential brief on investment opportunities in the reconstruction of Helmand province in Afghanistan. So he's sharing this confidential information with Jeffrey Epstein, and obviously that is against, I don't know how against the law it is. I don't know if this is something where it's a slap on the wrist kind of a thing. I don't know if this is like, what is it? What is it? Arresting Al Capone on tax evasion? If this is the equivalent of that, I don't know.
He's looking at life in prison, isn't he, Joan?
Andrew, yes. It's not tax evasion. It's official misconduct carries a life sentence in the UK.
So I guess that's a good equivalency from Dan on getting Capone for evasion when the real crime was being a mobster.
And Dan has had some slippery elm go down the wrong pipe.
I thought I was going to have to run in there for a minute.
See, here's what I think about this is that
yes.
They're sending in all of this, these search teams and the police, and he's been arrested. Now, they're making note of the fact that they didn't ask him to come down to the station for some questioning.
No, they arrested him. Yeah.
So, and they're holding him in a cell right now. Now, I'm thinking that they're doing this search and, they're looking for documents related to him sharing information with Jeffrey Epstein. But, well, maybe we turned up some more documents related to sex trafficking and, young girls. So I think that this search is going to be much deeper than what we think it is.
Well, and the more that they probe those documents, who knows what they're going to find.
Yeah.
And as we talked about in, I think it was the 5 o'clock hour, for all of the living in shame that Andrew is doing, he's still got a cushy life. He's living in a big house and on an estate, properties of the royal family. He's out there riding his horses. And yes, he is living in shame. That is part of the conversation. But he doesn't have to worry about, what the rest of the people in the UK have to worry about, which is, keeping a roof over the head, buying groceries and all that kind of stuff. He still gets some of the accoutrements of being a prince, even though he is clearly shamed. And he should be treated as the pedophile that he is suspected of being.
Also, Princess Fergie?
Fergie? Yeah. What about her?
She's missing.
What?
Yeah. And by missing, I mean, the press has been looking for her because she's also mentioned in the documents.
She is.
And they can't find her. They can't locate her, so they don't know where she is. They were both living in the same property for a while. And now she's just not.
Okay, so you're going to have to help me with my, was she, because I could give two craps about the royal family. Was Fergie married to Prince Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. She was the redhead, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She is currently believed to be lying low in the UAE or potentially the French Alps.
Yeah.
Lying low in the UAE, United Arab Emirates, really?
Mm-hmm. Possible. I mean,
so if they want to arrest her, can they?
It depends on whether
if there's an
extradition laws.
Yeah.
I imagine between the French Alps area and the UAE, it'd be harder to extradite from the UAE than it would be to go across the pond to France and be like, hey.
Well, and does anybody really know where she really is? Because remember, these people have a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to...
the Daily Mail had it 3 days ago that she was potentially plotting a lucrative move to the UAE.
Okay. I bet you they made some sort of a deal.
As shamed ex-Duchess tells friends, she, quote, needs money to fund lavish lifestyle. Here's how the Yorks could fare in the Gulf.
It's pretty hot there. I'd hate it. You couldn't pay me to live in the UAE. But if I'm...
You tan well.
But if I'm fleeing the kind of accusation...
Look like you belong there.
They're fleeing the kind of accusations that she is facing, then, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world that she would actually want to flee.